Hey, I'm Krista.
Hi, I'm Julie. Thanks for watching this documentary with us today. We will be revisiting Kerouac and Burroughs with the help of your classmates to discover what's between the lines of some of their most famous works.
Make it all the way. No, no, screams the boy. Yes, yes. Cocks ejaculate in silent yes. The mugwump parts silk curtains, reveals a teak wood gallows against lighted screen of red flint. Gallows on a dais of Aztec mosaics. The boy crumples to his knees with a long ooh, shitting and pissing in terror.
I had not read either of them until this class. I'd only read Ginsberg, and that's why I decided to start doing it.
I definitely liked the Dharma Bums.
Why? Sorry.
I mean, I liked On the Road, but I thought that Dharma Bums kind of gave you more to think about. I thought like both were pretty good narratives, but Dharma Bums definitely made you think and made you stop and try to put yourself in his shoes and try to think like him and try to see what he was getting out of all his meditation and everything. So it was kind of interesting to try to like think about how that was helping him.
I think he sort of is the baby. To me, he sort of like mimics the personalities of those around him. He really attaches himself to Dean or Neil or whatever in On the Road, and then the Buddhist guy in Dharma Bum, because like he's very clearly Catholic, even though he's trying to be a Buddhist. And that's something I can sort of relate to, because like when you're born and raised Catholic, even if you're not religious, it's like I know how to do the prayers and all that fancy hand jives. So I picture that mostly coming through his stuff. And like when they told us he wrote On the Road on whatever 1950s Adderall was, I was like, that makes a ton of sense.
Finds this girl and just immediately wants to have sex with her, and then starts having sex with her in a bus stop until her sister comes. That's hilarious to me. I've actually with an ex-girlfriend, we weren't doing anything bad. We were just, taking, like boyfriends and girlfriends do, cuddle. Like somebody said in our class, we all know girlfriends stay over at boyfriends' rooms. Exactly. But, and then I forgot that room blessings were going on. And a priest came knocking on my door and said, knocked on the door, and I said, "Who is it?" And he goes, "Room blessings." And I was like, shit. And we both got up, tried to fix our hair, open up the door, and the priest comes in. And somebody outside the door I could hear whispering, "Hand check!" And I'm like, oh God.
We reread an author, and he was looking for it, like just a purpose, like I think a purpose in life, like it. What do you think it is to you, or in general, like it, like the big it?
That makes you happy and helps other people and makes the world a better, like, cohesive living area.
I think I've found it all the way yet, but I think it has to do with being happy with myself so I can be happy with others, and I think I'm almost there for that, but I think I'll find it once I'm out of college and hopefully out of graduate school and working with kids to find their potential and show them that they are these wonderful people who have so much room to grow and are looking to better the world, because everyone always overlooks the child's mind when really the child's mind is where we can discover the most.
It's just sort of looking for a place in like my life that I can find that I actually feel like I can be myself and be able to help and benefit other people without dealing with like negative like individuals or anything bad like that or any issues. I'm just trying to look for that one place that I can be actually happy and help as many people as possible.
I was interested in how his rules were going to apply to his actual prose when we got to On the Road, because I think On the Road is like the classic Kerouac novel, and it's like the only one I had known existed before I came to this class. So I was interested in seeing how his lack of grammatical structure and his apparent passion for just writing on the seat of his pants was going to translate to creating a novel. Why does Kerouac get to go on his life road trip and I'm stuck here chasing the 50s American dream and trying to get a job. So I was a little jealous of Kerouac.
I like to go outside of the U.S., but really, it wouldn't matter where I was going. If it was in the summer, I'd probably want to go north, just because the sights are better, personally. But then, if it was, not summer, you don't want to go anywhere near that place. But yeah, I feel like to me it would mostly matter who I was with.
A road trip with one of them. I don't know. I think having a road trip with Burroughs would probably be more fun. But I'd like to think if I took a road trip, it'd be more dangerous. I'd probably die. But if I took a road trip with Kerouac, I'd like to think that maybe Kerouac would like idolize me, like Cassidy or Snyder, and then write a nice, spontaneous novel about me, and then people would like me.
Yeah.
Because Kerouac did it. But I think I'd have to go with Kerouac because I'd prefer not to die.
Yeah.
I'd rather kind of watch him womanize than get killed from doing too much junk.
So I'll be talking to you today about And the Hippos Were Boiled in Their Tanks, which was a book written by both Kerouac and Burroughs before they actually became very famous beat writers. They actually wrote under pseudonyms. And this book was about the murder of one of their friends. One of their friends, Lucien Carr, murdered one of their friends, David Camembert, who they all went to college together. And it was actually one of Ginsberg's really good friends that was murdered. And Lucien Carr confessed to Kerouac and then Burroughs, and neither of them went to the police, but they decided to write a book about their experience with that by changing their names, but it's literally the same experience of them like living through the murder and dealing with it. And so each chapter is written by a different one of them, like Kerouac wrote a chapter and then Burroughs wrote a chapter, so it's just alternating in that. And the title comes from a newspaper title about a fire that happened at a circus that they found was interesting, and they decided to title it. And it actually only recently became published because nobody ever wanted to publish it, and it sat in a filing cabinet for years and years until the murder became very public and known. So the hippos were boiled in their tanks was really the precursor to both of Kerouac and Burroughs' writing careers, I believe. I think just writing about something so horrific that happened to them, but also in a fictional mystery novel setting, really sort of gave them the initiative to write later Junkie and then all the books that they have written after that, and sort of led to On the Road, because that was a journey of Kerouac and Burroughs, both I feel getting over the murder of their friend, and in fact both of them did go to jail for some time, though Kerouac was not bailed out and Burroughs was. So they served a bit of time as being accessories to the crime because they did know about the murder. And I just feel like that experience really opened the doors to everything that they had experienced throughout the rest of their lives that they decided to write about.
A copy of Junkie off of a bench in the English department last year.
He doesn't start off liking junk. He just sells whatever he can, and then discovers junk and finds he enjoys it. I can identify with that with alcohol. I mean, I'm not alcoholic, but it's when I first came to college, I never drank. Just didn't have the opportunity to. That's for Burroughs, definitely. That's definitely most identifiable for me.
I think Junkie sort of just was him documenting his life when he was a junkie. I feel like initially he probably didn't feel much purpose. He was probably just a sort of really jaded rich kid, and so I think he just fucked around for the hell of it.
Burroughs is maybe a little bit more misguided.
Probably someone like Heath Ledger, if I was to say somebody like that. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but I'd say in culture today, he'd probably be the most similar in that he was an intelligent person and somebody that was talented, not just a junkie, which I'm not sure that Burroughs ever thought of himself as being as lowly as some of the junkies he talks about. I think he always thought he was somewhere above that.
My initial impression of Burroughs came from a movie called Kill Your Darlings, which I've watched a couple times because I have some sort of weird, unhealthy fascination with it. And when you first see him, he's in a bathtub in a suit with a mask over his face, and he's doing drugs. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be that guy.
I don't know, there's something always about him. He seemed like he was sort of outside of it, and that's why he felt the need to sort of narrate or document his own addiction. Always sort of had a way out when other people didn't, and that's one of the things I sort of thought about whenever I was reading Junkie, is that he could have honestly stopped whenever he was getting $150 a month in a trust fund. It's not like he never had any money.
Do you think that people can relate to Burroughs through Make His Lunch? Like, how do you think people can relate to him or that work in general?
I think absolutely people can relate to it, and it might not be in a necessarily sexual way at all. I know some people, myself included, might be able to connect with just the level of sexual abuse in there. I mean, like, that sort of thing happened to me when I was extremely young, so I sort of saw a connection there. Just the general visceral primacy of everything in there. I mean, I feel like anybody who's fought in any sort of conflict would certainly be able to see some sort of just level of high violence in that book. It's one of those things where it kind of brings out the worst in you, though. It's not like a good connection you find. It's a connection that it sort of makes uncomfortably with you. It's something you don't necessarily want to acknowledge as being a real connection.
Be like their personalities or their writing, but like, what do you think is like differs, like makes them different?
Personality, just what I said. Burroughs is more interested, seems to be interested in his own life and focuses on what he sees and what he does. Like, he always writes about his experiences, but Kerouac tries to write about other people's experiences as well as his own, minimally. He writes about himself minimally, as far as I can tell, compared to Burroughs.
And knowing that he wrote, I think it was Junkie, to Ginsberg in the form of letters, and then Ginsberg was like, yo, publish this. I hope I got that right. It made me feel that he was using his writing to cope with things, and I didn't have that feeling from Kerouac. I felt that Kerouac was just kind of writing for the hell of it.
Tubes. A Near East mugwump sits naked on a bar stool covered in pink silk. He licks warm honey from crystal goblet with long black tongue. His genitals are perfectly formed, circumcised cock, black shiny pubic hairs. His lips are thin and purple blue like the lips of a penis. His eyes blank with insect calm.